This is not a gay straight thing. This is a pro sports and what's best for pro sports thing. The WNBA has a victim problem.
I say this because it's Caitlin Clark, and there is jealousy abound by all the other players across the WNBA. WNBA Players Association tried to have her banned as a reporter.
Childish, how ill-prepared.
Entitled.
The players in the WNBA entitled.
The players won't let you answer that question, and then what? Because they want to be treated as a charity. We had Christine Brennan on, author of the new Caitlin Clark book, On Her Game, which is coming out soon, or it came out last weekend maybe. I say this because it's Caitlin Clark, and there is jealousy abound by all the other players across the WNBA with Christine Brennan. In fact, the WNBA Players Association tried to have her banned as a reporter. All because, as a part of this coverage, she was covering Caitlin Clark when the poke to the eye happened, and she happened to be reporting and asked the question, hey, was it intentional? What do you say to those who are stirring things up, saying it was intentional? And apparently, Chad, that, in an excerpt that has been released from the book, that is stirring the pot to the point where you're just picking on the players now. There's DiJonai Carrington. You also had Melissa Smith as a part of this, which is part of the excerpt of the book that has been released. And then DeWanna Bonner was also taking up for her teammate, saying you disrespected her by asking that question. This is the W that we're dealing with.
It's wild how childish, how ill-prepared.
Entitled? The
players in the WNBA entitled, emotional. I mean, not emotional, overly emotional. The players are. I mean, this incident with DiJonai Carrington, where she's going into a media-only area because she heard someone talking about her girlfriend who plays on the other team.
During a shoot-around.
Yeah.
And that's Melissa Smith.
Nalissa?
No, I guess. I mean, I don't follow the W.
Yeah, Nalissa. I guess it's Nalissa.
I don't follow the W because it's not a real league if you can't handle questions like this. This is either a pro league or a charity, and it's being treated from the players' end like they want to be treated as a charity with some of the questions that they're willing to answer versus not. Here is Christine Brennan from their visit with us. Discussing how it's not necessarily the individual player, but the league to blame for this.
But for this group of people to want to say such negative things and be so wrong about her, okay, fine, it's a free country. You can do what you want. But what she's doing by going into the WNBA, that spotlight that shines on Caitlin Clark is shining on all the other players. The old rising tide lifts all boats. That was Tiger Woods and men's golf. But men's golf had already had Arnold Palmer and Jack Nicklaus, and going all the way back to Sam Snead and Byron Nelson. It was an established sport. It was mainstream. The WNBA, sadly, I wish it had been, but it wasn't. And so Caitlin Clark is way more important to the WNBA than Tiger Woods was to men's golf, even though he was huge to men's golf. And to then see this negativity, you'll probably, the next question would be, or your viewers and listeners are probably saying, okay, so like why? And what should have been done? And I look seriously at the leadership of the WNBA. And how could you not be prepared for this moment? You've seen it happening in the Big Ten. You've seen it in Iowa. You see these TV ratings. 4 million more, as I said, watching the women than the men. I think it's worth repeating a few times because it is such a stunning statistic, guys. And then what?
Yeah, and then what? Hard to say because
what a question. And then what?
You can't. You can't. The players won't let you answer that question. And then what? Because they want to be treated as a charity. Like this is a layup after layup type question. You can't ask, hey, what do you think about on social media? Everyone's saying that you did this intentionally to DiJonai Carrington. Well, in regards to the question, and by the way, that's. I don't know how anyone thinks that's a disrespectful question to ask. No one else was asking it. And it's because, well, Christine Brennan can't go into a locker room, can't go to a press conference and say, or ask a question that she would ask an NBA player. Here's Christine from our show.
What do? You ask the question so that they can answer it. And so, yeah, I was surprised, but I guess it's in keeping a little bit with this utter lack of preparation that is so sad to me, frankly. There's no joy in when I'm telling these stories. This is sad that they weren't ready for this. But I'll keep asking because I'm a journalist. And again, you want, as an athlete, you want the opportunity. And Carrington did fine with her answers. So that's it. And, Cheryl Reeve, I guess, has been deleting tweets now. She said, what I've said is fiction. Well, she hasn't even seen the book yet, and it's definitely nonfiction. And these are all things that I wrote a year ago. And her behavior was just awful towards a 22-year-old. And that I stand by that, and that is factually correct. And she did target and pinpoint and focus on Caitlin Clark while Caitlin Clark was still in the pool to be on the Olympic team. Just terrible behavior as someone who's covered the Olympics, as I said, forever.
The Olympics were a big storyline. Well, anything that Caitlin Clark is involved with is a storyline. But the rival is Angel Reese. And she's been on a tear lately, by the way. She's averaging like 15 and 15 a game.
Yeah, she's doing a lot better.
For the last 5 games. She is now pissed off that the officials are not giving the Chicago Sky the same treatment as her opponents. Well, she's going, keep in mind, this is the same player who sometimes just says, no comment, right? She takes advantage of a layup question, this is what the WNBA players expect a question to be to them, Chad. And this is also one of the faces of the league calling out officials when we've seen the physicality shown on Caitlin Clark and the fact that the officials let them play. But it starts with the coverage. And sometimes Angel wants to answer a question, sometimes she doesn't. Of course she wants to take this layup.
It's tough when you talk to officials and I ask them, hey, we only shot 2 free throws. We've only been to the free throw line twice up into the fourth quarter, and she tells me it's not her job. So I know it's frustrating because I know how hard we're battling inside. And I think that we came down and fought as hard as we could with what we had. And I just know that we continue to grow in this. And I think this is a leaping step for us. And obviously we know we can compete with the best. But that has to be fixed. And I don't give a damn if I get fined because that shit cheap. And I am tired of the shit. Because I've been nice and I've been humble with it, but I am tired of the shit.
I'm going to ask Tyler, if you can, pull the question from that video for me. Because I'm tired of that shit too with in regards to the questions and the softballs. Chad, she's tired of that. And that was coming from that was an answer from a question where it said, hey, you lost the game, but man, don't you feel like this could be a win somehow? Like,
don't you feel like a winner at the end of this?
Don't you feel like this is an opportunity to really, win the next one? That was basically the question that was asked after a loss to a player who won't answer a question in regards to anything Caitlin Clark.
Yeah, the WNBA has a victim problem. And it's a widespread issue where I watch this league and I see a bunch of women who are less professional basketball players and more professional victims. And that's a big issue that I saw with Angel Reese there. The ref is right. It's not the official's job to worry about how many free throws one team is taking over the other. You need to do a better job of pump faking and taking the ball into the chin of your opponent and getting a foul called for you if you want to go to the line more often. I didn't watch the game. Yeah. She could be right. It could have been horse shit throughout. Don't know.
It was lopsided, but
don't really care, honestly.
Didn't watch the game to know.
But again, just because you go up and say, "Hey, we've only shot 2 free throws," it should be even. No, it shouldn't. There's nothing in a basketball rule book that says both teams need to shoot the same amount of free throws. So I don't know where she's going with that. Regardless of Angel Reese, who has been playing,
she's playing
a lot
well,
better.
So she's got a little chip on her shoulder now because she's playing well.
DiJonai Carrington and Nalissa Smith.
Yes.
Okay, this whole issue that's in the excerpt, now the book excerpts are starting to float. CNN has stories on it. OutKick has stories on it. National media is covering some of these excerpts. We know about Christine Brennan and all the BS she had to deal with because she asked a legitimate question to DiJonai Carrington, and then the reaction to it was so over the top, so brittle. I mean, like a piece of brittle candy, just snapping at anything. That someone would respond to a legitimate question the way DiJonai Carrington did, now with more info to it where DiJonai Carrington peeked her head into a media area because her ears were burning so much, the rabbit ears that she possesses, that they were talking about, wait for it, her girlfriend that's on the other team.
Who was getting benched that night?
This was in a playoff series, and her girlfriend, Nalissa Smith, is on the other team, and here's DiJonai Carrington bitching about it to reporters she thinks are talking negatively. Really, they're just talking basketball, according to the reporters, about her getting benched for that night's game.
Chad, they went back and forth with Christine Brennan had to go back and forth and have others back up her story that she was not talking trash about Carrington's girlfriend, to the point where the PR director got involved. Stephanie White got involved in one of these
Stephanie
stories.
White, by the way, who had so many problems like this on her Vanderbilt basketball team that the team quit.
Yes.
And I'm here to tell you part of the issue was relationships on the team amongst players.
It wasn't reporting?
No, it wasn't because the Vanderbilt women's basketball beat writer asked too many tough questions to them. This is such victimization constantly. And you know why DiJonai Carrington feels emboldened to act like this, or Nalissa Smith is going to be playing voicemails for reporters around them because her girlfriend was calling saying they were talking shit about her, even though they weren't. And they're just completely unprofessional behavior. They feel this way because Megan Rapinoe and the Megan Rapinos of the world are going to call Christine Brennan racist because she asked DiJonai Carrington a question that DiJonai Carrington would, or that Christine Brennan, would ask any athlete. White, black, other, doesn't matter. You ask athletes, professionals, tough questions. If you are a big-time sport and a big-time league. Clearly, this is not a big-time sport or a big-time league. Here's another example of it we'll show you right now. Instagram post when DiJonai Carrington's partner got traded away. This is real, by the way, guys. This is actually real. The heartbreak emoji because her girlfriend got traded off of her team. Now, I don't care. Like who you like, love who you love. But there are HR reasons and violations that coworkers are supposed to report before they get involved. And certainly a coach should never be involved with a player, just like a boss should not be involved with a subordinate in any corporation or business. Now think about a highly competitive professional sports league having issues like this, where two women are brokenhearted because they're partners, they're lovers, they're a couple, and one gets traded away off the team. Imagine Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen being in a loving relationship, and then it falls apart because Scottie Pippen gets traded, and Michael Jordan is bitching on Instagram about it. Like, these are issues that would happen in any corporation. This is not a gay, straight thing. This is a pro sports and what's best for pro sports thing. So am I surprised that DiJonai Carrington is going to butt her head between a curtain and start screaming at reporters because they dare to talk about her girlfriend? That, oh, by the way, plays on the other team, if I was leaving that earlier, is a competitor in that night's game. Think about all the conflicts of interest here that you could have.
In the WNBA, you have to report if you're not dating someone in the league. I mean, that's more or less what's going on here.
I just... Like, we're going to state the obvious on this show and not be afraid to say it. Here's dating your teammates and being in loving sexual relationships with professional sports teammates, probably not the best idea.
What about opponents?
For team camaraderie. Well, they were opponents that became teammates. And then a trade happened. Oh, I wonder why a trade happened, by the way. Could that have caused problems in the Dallas Wings locker room? No way that could happen, right? Two lovers on the same team? I mean, come on.
But here's an example.
This is not co-ed kickball.
Oh, but it's treated like that. Here's the question to Angel Reese's answer about officials.
This is for both of you guys. This game did result in a loss, but you guys fought all four quarters. Is there something positive that you kind of take away from this game going into the next game with the Mystics?
Right there.
Yeah, I think
is there something
really
positive you can take away from this game? And she took it to the negative because she's playing well. So that's the league. That also, the story with Carrington and the question about the eye poke led to the WNBA Players Association releasing this as part of their statement trying to get her banned, Brennan. because we call BS. To unprofessional members of the media like Christine Brennan, you are not fooling anyone. That so-called interview in the name of journalism was a blatant attempt to bait a professional athlete, into participating in a narrative that is false and designed to fuel racist, homophobic vitriol on social media.
Here we go.
I won't read all 5 pages of this, but this is specific to what they expect and how they expect the media to act on behalf of the 144 for the players. Chad, it's not 144, it's 1. And think about who's watching the WNBA right now. Everyone who is anti all of this crap. Like we're watching Caitlin Clark, but we're not watching the league because the league doesn't exist. This is, Chad, what'd you refer to it as? Kickball? Co-ed kickball?
Yeah, well, I mean, co-ed beer league kickball, teammates get together at times and have relationships. Yeah. They're not paid money to be a part of a professional sports organization. Okay. Like, this is supposed to be a professional, competitive setting. So having partners that are teammates, that are opponents in a playoff series, like, this is not good for the competitive sanctity of your league, is my point.
And it's not good.
And that's not homophobic, by the way. That's me being pro-league, pro-business. If I'm running a business, I don't want anyone. I don't care. They don't need to be getting together
it's like
as a part of a team.
The former Celtics coach.
Yes.
Kicked out of there.
And now that was more coach subordinate situation. But it was completely.
It was within the.
Yeah, they were 2 adults that willfully engaged in the activity. So it's not good for business. And I think incidents like this with DiJonai Carrington being so emotional about her girlfriend being talked about by reporters from a basketball perspective, you can avoid that by not having this so rampant in your league, with players having relationships with each other. It's bad for business. The thin-skinnedness of the league, bad for business. Everyone trying to make themselves a victim, the self-victimization of players in the WNBA, bad for business. You know who's good for business? Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark's good for business. And some of this hate is actually good for the WNBA's business. But this type of stuff, trying to get a reporter banned because they asked a legitimate question, because Christine Brennan dared to treat DiJonai Carrington like a big-time pro athlete, that's what she did. She asked her a tough question where she could respond for herself, and she did terrible at it and then got offended by it. And I'm sorry, Hutton, but all this, the statement they made about you're just inciting racist, homophobic vitriol online or on social media, log off of social media. I've got a solution for you. If you're such a victim that troll accounts coming after you is going to bother you to this extent, then don't have an Instagram account. Don't have a Facebook account. Don't go on X. There, problem solved. Go be a pro athlete. You can log back on when your career's over if you want. I'm tired of hearing about I'm a victim on this all the time. It gets so old, and it stops the league from being legitimate. We're talking about it because of stupid shit like this.
Well,
not because the basketball is especially good or because they're especially professional.
It's going to get worse, too, with the expansion. The overall, just the talent being spread across the league. Look, a part of the excerpt.
And I hate that, by the way, for young girls playing sports, playing basketball, striving to be in that league. That's not the end-all, be-all because of how poorly it's run and how poorly it's managed. And that's what's sad about it right now.
Well, and it's all
is it could be a lot better.
So a part of the excerpt. By the way, what's good for the league? Reporters like Christine Brennan asking questions. That legitimizes your league.
Yeah.
What's bad for business is the reaction not to Carrington poking her head through the curtain and saying something about her girlfriend. What's really bad for business is not being able to handle that question about the IPO.
Yeah.
For a league and players who are all over social media, you have your opportunity to answer it and squash it. By the way, Caitlin Clark even answered a question about it and said it was not intentional then at the time. Minutes later, this is after she asked the question. Minutes later, it was a WNBA, within minutes, back out of the stands in a dark hallway. WNBA Communications Director Sam Tager was standing with Agnes and me, another reporter, and this is when Nalissa Smith walked by and said, "What did you say? What did you say?" Referring to what did you say about me? Because she had just heard about this. And Brennan told her that no one said anything negative about her. And Smith said, "You're lying," and scoffed and walked off. Then you have the communications director calling and trying to figure out everything, trying to confirm with each individual who was in that room what was said. And all the stories matched. And communications director or someone within behind the scenes of another team, they said it's sad but true. Our players don't know how to handle media coverage.
I've got the exact quote.
You do.
This is
okay,
from
good.
an unnamed WNBA media communications professional. This is after the whole incident with DiJonai Carrington going after Christine Brennan in that media area and her shouting at her down the hall and everything else. Would not go on the record, but the exact quote was to Christine Brennan. Unfortunately, most of our players have zero idea what real media exposure is.
That's it.
They don't know what real coverage is. They have been shielded at college, and then they come to the WNBA not knowing what real questions are. Frankly, our players just don't get it. That is from a WNBA official saying that. Whose fault is that?
Well, I mean,
Christine Brennan argues it's the WNBA's fault for not preparing them. I would argue it's a systemic problem.
But
if they're not being covered like real athletes in college, having all played big-time college basketball,
just happening,
then that's a bigger issue.
I didn't. Some of it wasn't like Diana Taurasi didn't know how to answer a question.
No.
Sue Bird could answer questions. You've got Caitlin Clark who can. Caitlin Clark was asked about this eye poke incident, and she just said it wasn't intentional by any means. You just watch the play; it wasn't intentional. I mean, that was it. But Megan Rapinoe wants everyone to think that it feels racist to ask Carrington about that. That's where we are in the W.
Well, if you grow up in a the world we kind of live in now, which is what I'll always say, you bad, me good type world, right? Me good, you bad. If you grow up in that, you're not forced to interact with people that have different ideas about different things, or you're not consuming different types of media that show a different side of something. You get things like this, right? Where DiJonai Carrington or Nalissa Smith or probably countless others in the WNBA, they believe that Christine Brennan's bad and they're good. And that if you disagree with them, you cannot have a disagreement, not civil disagreement. It's, you're racist. You're homophobic. You're on the wrong side of history. You bad, me good. That's what it comes down to. And you end up sounding really dumb. We have a saying here at OutKick, DBAP. And everybody knows the P means in DBAP. I don't have to tell you. You also need to be a little D-bad, which is don't be a dumbass. And when you engage in arguments like this, which is not to engage at all, just to name call and call someone racist or a homophobe because they disagree with you or because you get asked a tough question, that is being a dumbass. That's the definition of it.
Well,
so don't be a dumbass. D-bad.
And be professional. Just be a pro league. This is it's like middle school coverage. A professional reporter comes into town, and all of a sudden,
big bad Christine Brennan.
Yeah, all of a sudden it got to ban that. Can't have that here. Can't have that here. We've got.
By the way, it's funny. Yesterday we were just talking about Kirk Herbstreit, L. Duncan, and I got into sort of the rules of different types of broadcasters, national, local, sports talk radio host and entertainer, hype men, and how everybody's different. And like your threshold for entertainment and people sharing their fandom with you or whatever, it's different for everyone. And that Kirk Herbstreit's right that he doesn't need to share any fandom on his broadcast, and he does a good job of not doing that. But he wants L. Duncan to basically do the exact same thing. And I'm kind of saying, well, L. Duncan's not Walter Cronkite. She's hosting SportsCenter, and SportsCenter is no longer the pinnacle of journalism.
Scott Van Pelt can't be a Maryland fan?
Well, there's a gray area, right? Like, I get what Kirk is saying, but there's a gray area between Pat McAfee and Kirk Herbstreit.
Yeah, where you're
or Mike
what you're doing on air.
Or Mike Tirico and the local radio play-by-play voice of a team.
Right.
So I think Elle Duncan sort of falls in that middle ground where they're trying to make SportsCenter more fun, lighthearted. So if she's cheering on Georgia, she's not the only one there that does that on SportsCenter. So I kind of understand where she's coming from with that. It's just amazing that, Kirk Herbstreit wants to hold Elle Duncan up to this, Dan Rather covering Vietnam live on the ground type standard of journalism, that she can't share that she's a Georgia Bulldogs fan. Yet, in the same breath, we have people defending DiJonai Carrington and calling it racist because a human reporter asked her a tough question. Not even that tough. Just gave her a chance to explain whether or not it was intentional. That's all she did.
Just said,
wasn't even tough.
What do you say to those who said you did it intentionally?
I mean,
how do you not handle that question well?
But we see the roller coaster of expectation for people, and it's pure insanity.
And now, DiJonai Carrington saying defamation of character in response to the book excerpt.
Oh, my gosh.
Look at this. Posted this.
What is ATP? Do we know? Any youngins here in the studio right now that knows what ATP means? Is that a yawn emoji? I'm unfamiliar with this emoji, too.
Yeah, it's a yawn. But, I yawn at this. Like, the attitude of this. This is why I don't want to watch the games. I want to watch Caitlin Clark, and that's it.
In slang, ATP means at this point. Defamation of character at this point.
At this point.
Is this your legal expertise coming through, DiJonai?
Yeah. You know what? That feels racist.
She watched Suits over the offseason, and now she's a lawyer. This is a plot line in season 4. I'm pretty sure this is defamation of character.
Yeah. You know what? Cap. So look,
let's get Clay Travis on when he's done with his vacation to ask if this is defamation of character or not.
I mean,
I'd love to get DiJonai Carrington and Clay to come on to have a legal debate on the meaning of defamation of character.
What if DiJonai's represented by our attorney for Chiefsaholic?
Oh, now that could turn the case in her favor.
He speaks in basketball terms only.
Or the old butt chugger attorney.
It is time to dunk.
Yeah.
We're going to pull up for 3 and tie the game at the buzzer.
Right now, we're on a fast break towards justice. And my client, DiJonai Carrington,
she's being full
will
court
finish
pressed by the
that
media.
fast break with a buzzer-beating three-pointer. That's what we aim to do.
What's the ball? And she'll make it.
That Chiefs guy, so good.
Who else is good?
Timmy B.
Tim Brando.
He'll have thoughts.
Well, especially, absolutely. Herbstreit. He'll have thoughts on that for sure.
He'll have a good take on that one.
It's next here on Hot Mic.